So we've talked about Israel can't be racist because there's black Jews. If we're already at it, why don't we discuss the other common refrain we hear batted around a lot, which is Israel can't be racist because there are gay Jews. Right? I'm sure you've heard this. Well, let's have a look at that, shall we? So, okay, again, admittedly, let's admit that this is true. It's definitely not all over Israel, okay? But at least in Tel Aviv, or let's be more accurate, at least in some neighborhoods of Tel Aviv, yes, you can walk down the street holding hand with your same-sex partner. That part is true. Yes, there are pride parades. But in liberal Tel Aviv, you can also have people spray paint outside your home, fuck gays, kill gays and Arabs, because they want to drive you out of a Tel Aviv neighborhood because they don't like the fact that you're queer. Okay, this also happens in liberal Tel Aviv. Also happening in liberal Tel Aviv is gunmen driving by the gay community center and spraying it with bullets and killing young Israelis. Till this day, we don't know who killed them. The government has never indicted anyone for these murders. In fact, not only those who were murdered, but those who were wounded and who have since been in wheelchairs, the government isn't even willing to pay for their wheelchairs. You know, they're left on their own to fend for themselves because our queer lives only matter if they can be used for hasbara. On their own, they don't matter to the government. And this is the perfect example of this. So this is a photograph of this past year's 2015 Pride Parade in Tel Aviv. Now, you see those wearing blue shirts are actually ministers in the Israeli government, Ophir Akunis and Miri Regev. Now, this is how ridiculous the situation is. This is Friday. Pride Parade's held on Friday. The next day, Saturday, the Sabbath, everything's closed. The following day, Sunday, is a work day in Israel. Back to work. The government's in session. There's a vote on whether to extend protection, to gay people, to queer people, because, so at least on the books, there's a law saying you can't fire someone, you can't deny someone a job, or can't deny someone an apartment on the basis of their race or religion. So there's a vote to extend this legal prohibition against discrimination to gender preference and identity. And those two ministers who were very happy to come to Gay Pride Parade because they know that gay people vote and they know that gay people buy stuff, so they're happy to come out and to try to appeal to them to win their votes so they can amass political power. But when it comes time to using that political power to actually standing in solidarity with queer people, they aren't even willing to do that. Even the most basic thing, that people don't deserve to be fired from their job because they're queer, even that they wouldn't stand by. That's how garbage their solidarity is. Of course, we see that Netanyahu has some kind of a penchant for nominating some of the worst homophobes to the government. We see the last deputy speaker of the Knesset, Moshe Feiglin, he comes out with an op-ed piece in the Jerusalem Post, "I am a proud homophobe." No need to read between the lines here, right? I don't need to parse that. But then that's in the previous government. In the current Netanyahu government, we have a new deputy speaker of the Knesset, Bezalel Smotrich. He's essentially Israel's equivalent to Rick Santorum, with everything that implies. Now, Bezalel Smotrich, remember, he's from the Jewish Home Party. This is the party that brings in the terrorists into the halls of power. But in his case, he doesn't have to bring anyone else. He just comes in himself. Because he himself, this is a mugshot from a few years back. He never was indicted over it, but he was brought in for questioning because when they were considering evacuating one of these settlement outposts, he was actually found in his home massive amounts of fertilizer. We don't know exactly what he was going to bomb, but so he himself has an illustrious past, but now he's a legislator in the Jewish Home Party. And among other things, he organizes an anti-pride protest okay? A homophobic protest that they call the Beast Parade. So they will take donkeys and other farm animals, and then when some of these queer kids finally find the courage to come out of the closet and to walk down the street, proud of who they are, but instead of, giving them their space, he decides he wants to make them feel like garbage. So he gets together these farm animals and he leads them in front of the Pride Parade, and he calls it the Beast Parade, the Abomination Parade. And so what happens, he's essentially calling for biblical injunctions against them. We all know what the Bible says has to happen to homosexual people, right? That they need to be killed. So this is essentially his response, and he's brought into the government, and he is appointed Deputy Speaker of the Knesset. And this is the result of Netanyahu's choices. So this year at the Jerusalem Pride Parade, we have this man. It's all on video. He gets out his knife, and he actually stabs people at the Pride Parade. And he murdered this girl, this 16-year-old girl. That's bad enough. But it isn't just one person's actions. Okay, this man who was caught for stabbing the girl, he did the exact same thing 10 years ago. The same exact person. He went to the Jerusalem Pride Parade. He stabs people in the streets. Of course, he's caught. He's brought to trial, he's convicted, he's sent to jail. A few months ago, he's released from jail, okay? Doesn't express any regret over this. The day before, or 2 days before the Pride Parade, this new Pride Parade, he writes a long article expressing essentially his intention to do pretty much the exact same thing over, and he publishes this, and all you need to do is put one person on him. If you suspect in any way that maybe he might go there again, just have one police officer just monitoring his activities, following him around to make sure he doesn't take it there. But our lives don't matter. Our queer lives don't matter unless they can be used for hasbara. And so what did the police do on that day? Instead of sending someone to just watch this man, they had massive amounts of forces instead at the wedding of two of the richest people in Israel, the son and daughter of the owner of the biggest bank in Israel and the owner of half of Israel's gas fields. They're, marrying their fortunes together. And so the police, of course, want to have their hands close to the purse strings. So they send, massive amounts of their forces to attend the wedding of these captains of industry. Because that's more important than protecting our queer lives, even the ABCs of police work. And we see that in the weeks that follow these homophobic murders, it's not that the religious right all of a sudden had a revelation and realized, what have we done? Maybe we need to look at, how we got to this place. No. We see that the chief rabbi of Jerusalem comes out saying about queerness, this phenomenon will wane and disappear because most of the public is disgusted by it and detests it. We see that the top newsletter in Israel targeting the religious national youth, that they write in an op-ed piece, fight back and stop giving in to LGBT terror, or humanity will send itself back to the Dark Ages. This is how they respond to the murder of a young girl. LGBT terror. And you walk down the streets of Jerusalem and you see, in those days following the murder, you see these signs on the city streets. Bless you, Rabbi Yishai, that's the name of the stabber. You have done an act of Phineas. And he took a pike, killed the whores. Now here I need to parse that because not everyone here may be as well versed in Bible texts. So the story of Phineas, again, all you need to do is open up your Torah, English, Hebrew, it doesn't matter. You go to the book of Numbers, chapter 25, and you read about this story. So what is the reference to Phineas? Why do they call this man Phineas? According to the Bible, Phineas was a zealot, priest of the Israelites. And when he learned, just like Lehava, when he learned that there were Israelites and non-Israelites who were falling in love and coupling off, he was so incensed by this, he was so disgusted by this, that he came upon a couple, and in the middle of lovemaking, he stabbed them. He took a spear and he skewered them both, murdering and mutilating them both in the act of lovemaking. Okay, this is in the Bible story. This is Phineas. Now, so that's bad enough that Phineas is held up to be a hero. And these people are saying, you, Schlissel, Yishai Schlissel, by stabbing this girl at the Pride Parade, you have done a noble act of Phineas. That's the Bible version, okay? That's bad enough. Then you go to the Talmud, and you read what the Talmud has to say about Phineas. And you see that it says, miracles were done for Phineas. His aim was through the penis of the man and the vagina of the woman. Are you getting this? So the Talmud is saying that Phineas is a hero. Yahweh decided to do a miracle for him. That miracle was that when he went to murder this man and woman, that his aim was true, and he actually skewered the intertwined genitals of this couple in the middle of making love. I mean, this is some human centipede type shit. This is sick. And this is the discourse in the religious right. And again, in the days that followed, we don't have government officials, recalcitrant or wondering how this happened. The left-wing legislators call for a discourse and debate because this murder of Shira Banki at the Pride Parade happened just hours after they burned the Dawabshe family in Duma, the mother, father, and one-year-old baby, within just hours of each other. When these racist and homophobic attacks happened, then they said, let's just have some kind of Knesset, conversation about how we got to this point and where we need to go next. But no, the government boycotts it and doesn't even bother to show up for the debate, because that's how little our queer lives matter. Now, with all of these racist and homophobic attacks going on, the issue, again, is not these sick bastards who are committing the attacks. The issue is who is laying the fertile ground for them to operate in.